All right, so this is the Daf Yomi for March 21st, Friday, Erev Shabbat, 2025. We're in Sanhedrin 94. Just a thing, if you've been following along throughout Sanhedrin, when you get to the end, and we're very close, we're, I think, about within 20 days of the end of Sanhedrin. At least here in town, we're going to have a Siyum Masechet. And if you're off somewhere else in the world, have a nice little party. Enjoy yourself. But we're closing in upon it, so we'll end a few days before Pesach. But if you're in town and you want to participate, let me know. I don't know how much space we'll have for everybody, because there's some people that we definitely want to make sure we get invited. But anyway, I'm going to jump into this. So we were talking about Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah, and the interesting life that they had recorded in the book of Daniel. So it says, apropos Daniel, Haggai, Zechariah, and Malachi, the Gemara notes, in certain respects, the latter three were greater than Daniel, and in certain respects, Daniel was greater than the latter three. They were greater than he, as they were prophets, and he was not a prophet. Haggai, Zechariah, and Malachi were designated to transmit their visions of God to the Jewish people, but Daniel, was not designated to share his visions with others. He was greater than they, as he saw his vision, and they did not see his vision. So it is interesting, though, that the book of Daniel is specifically said to be sealed up until the end. And obviously it's sealed up with all kinds of things like ciphers and the language is concealing in and of itself. We see that there was different patterns in the way things were read in the book of Daniel. Specifically the writing on the wall, it did not go like across. There was writing in columns. There was that specifically the writing on the wall. It was a new alphabet that the rest of the Babylonians had never seen before, which is the script that we use in the Torah scrolls, the Ashuri script. And some people say, well, that's just the writing of Babylon. No, there's the Babylonians, they had all the wise men throughout their kingdom. They had people that knew Hebrew. So why couldn't they read the writing that was on the wall? It was because it was in a script that they didn't recognize, that they've never seen before. That's the reason why only Daniel was able to read it, is because he was familiar with that script that had been kept secret from the rest of the world, and it was like an inside secret within, inside of Judaism, inside the circle of the scribes, the sofrut. It's part of that tradition, that Mizorah. So, but anyway, back to that. The Gemara asks, and since they did not see the vision, what is the reason and they were frightened? The Gemara answers, although they did not see the vision, their guardian angels saw it, and they were overcome with fear and fled. Ravina said, conclude from it that in the case of this person who becomes frightened with no apparent cause, although he does not see what causes his fear, his guardian angel sees it. What is his remedy? Let him leap 4 cubits from his current location to distance himself from the perceived danger. And it's interesting that they use that specific distance. So if you know anything about halacha, you'll recognize that. Alternatively, let him recite Shema, which will afford him protection. And if he is standing in a place of filth where it is prohibited to recite verses from the Torah, let him say this formula: the goat of the slaughterhouse is fatter than I. Iza deve tabacha shemina mina. And let the demon harm the goat instead, basically. It's interesting the way that this is also said. It reminds me of something that Rav Dror taught regarding, say, Merkava. If you're interested, I could probably point you to his video. But anyway, apropos Hezekiah, the Gemara cites that which is stated, the government may be increased, Lamar ben, a peace there be no end upon the throne of David and upon his kingdom, to establish it and withhold it through justice and through righteousness, and now and forever. The zeal of the Lord of hosts does perform this. Isaiah 9:6. Rabbi Tanhum says that Bar Kapara taught in Sapori. Due to what reason is that every letter mem in the middle of a word is open, and this mem of the letter Lamarbe is closed. So basically there's the mem sophit, the final mem, which is like a closed letter, completely closed letter. It's different from the normal mem that you see in words. And basically what they're saying is that it's in the middle. The mem that's supposed to be at the end of a word, that form, is in the middle of the word. That's what they're talking about. So due to what reason is it that every mem in the middle of a word is open, and this mem of the word Lamarbe is closed? In the Masoretic text, the letter mem in the word Lamarbe is written in the form of a mem that appears at the end of a word, closed on all fours. This is because the Holy One, blessed be He, sought to designate King Hezekiah as the Messiah, as Mashiach, and to designate Sennacherib in Assyria, respectively, as Gog and Magog, all from the prophecy of Ezekiel with regard to the end of days, Ezekiel chapter 38. And the confrontation between them would culminate in the final redemption. And it is interesting that we talk about the mems here, because the Mishnah starts with a mem and ends with a mem. And as a matter of fact, do I have it here? Okay. It is interesting because I think it's very close to that verse right there in Isaiah. If not, it's very close. I think it's in the first chapter of Isaiah. There's a phrase. I need to get this in another video, but the gematria of the phrase is it was referring to Talmud Bavli and Talmud Yerushalmi, and the entire gematria equals 1,600. That if you take which is 40 times 40, which is, mem. So 40 times 40 is 1,600. And it's significant because it's referring to, let me get it. Okay, so I got it in front of me. So this is Isaiah chapter 1, verse 27. It says in the English, Zion will be redeemed through justice. So Zion b'mishpat tipadeh. The gematria of that is 1,076, which is equivalent to the gematria of Talmud Yerushalmi. And then the next statement in that verse says, and those who return to her through righteousness, which is V'shaveha B'tzedakah. And that has a gematria of 524. So if you add up 524 and 1,076, you get 1,600. And that is equivalent to the square root of 1,600 is 40. So 40 times 40 is 1,600. This verse here. And the idea is the Mishnah begins with a mem, so the 40, and ends with a mem, which is the other 40. So 40 times 40 is 1,600. And it's interesting, these two statements. Zion will be redeemed through justice, which is Talmud Yerushalmi. And those who return to her through righteousness, Talmud Bavli. Okay, so that is interesting. That is the gematria that I'm trying to tie in with these mems. And this is related to the mems of Mashiach, the Messianic age. So I like that kind of stuff because my favorite Torah commentary is the Baal HaTorim. So his commentary changed my life. So I don't know where I read that. It might have been in the Baal HaTorim, but I'm not sure. Anyway, Hebrew does not have numbers. We do not have a numerical system. We have Hebrew letters, and those letters have values. And the values start with Aleph, and it goes up to 10. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then it counts by tens: 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. And then it counts by hundreds: 100, 200, 300, 400. And that's when you get to the end of the alphabet. And then everything from 500 up to 900 is the final forms of letters. Just like we're talking here, there's a traditional mem that you find in the middle of a word, and then there's a mem that you find at the end of a word. So there's a form of letters that you find at the end. So those forms that you find at the end get you up to 900, and then the 1,000 is Aleph again. So the first letter of the alphabet, if you repeat it, so Aleph and Aleph, right? So 1,000, it's the same. It's basically the same word. And that's the cycle. And that's what Judaism uses for numbers. We don't have a numeric system. We use letters of the Hebrew alphabet. And it's all cryptic. This is where cryptography came from. The word for a sofer, like a scribe, is the same word that we use today when we talk about like codes. We talk about ciphers. You know, there's a cipher where there's an exchange of things. And this is the way that Judaism works. This is the way we see the world. The world can be broken down into, this is an object, and this object has a numeric value. This is an object. This object has a numeric value. This is a person. They have a name. Their name has a numeric value. And all this stuff flows together. And just like I was talking with Daniel, about Daniel, and they see the writing on the wall, but not only is there writing on the wall, but you can read it in different directions. So these are the different things. This is the way, like I have a video up about the Torah scroll, the picture of the Torah scroll that's in the back of the background of the YouTube channel. And it has mysteriously, maybe 15, 20 years ago, whenever I took that picture, I did not know that it would have the name of this crazy little Missouri town in that scroll by the names of me and my sons. In that same section there. But this is the way that the Torah works. The Torah is completely divinely inspired, and it's a guide to our life, and you can see into it. You can find yourself in the Torah. There's certain sections in the Torah that are for different time periods of history. In the time period that we are in, you can find your name in the Torah. And there's a great example of this where the Ramban, Rabbi Moshe ben Nachman, he had a student that went away from Torah, and at one point in his life he asked him, and he's like, like, why did you run away from the Torah? And he's like, you taught that everybody is in the Torah, and I did not find my name in the Torah. And on the spot, and I think his name was Amnon, if I got that story right, he gave him a verse with his name in it, with his actions of his life in it, and this guy never had actually recognized it before. But if you study it and you just even scan the words, you scan the lines, you just look at it, you're just going to see stuff in it. It's just going to pop out at you. Like there's stuff I've seen in the Torah portion where it's literally referring to it. It's a combination of the end of one word and the beginning of another word, and it actually says America, and it says other stuff, and it's like it's unbelievable because the Torah is meant to be this way. Sometimes we look at it without spaces. Sometimes it's written without vowels. It's just written with consonants. You fill in the vowels when you read it. The vowels are the spiritual aspect to it, whereas the consonants are like the body and the spirit, right? So the vowels are like the spiritual aspect of the word, and the consonants are like the physical aspect of the word. And they can take different forms. That's why there's traditions of what is written and what is spoken. And sometimes what is written is not what you speak whenever we read the Torah for a public reading. And there are so many things. There's different interchanges between how two words can be read, and they both have meaning. They absolutely both have meaning. I'm going off on a tangent here, but like there's the verse that people, like the haters, always point to, and they're like, oh, see, the Torah can't even get math right. And it has to do with the Kav that Solomon, he made the pool for in the temple for washing. And it says that it was a certain distance across, and it was a certain distance around. And they're like, oh, well, that doesn't even add up. Like, he's such a smart guy, and he doesn't know pi. He doesn't know the measurement of like the diameter to the circumference of a circle. That relationship. But there's a Ketiv and Kari there. There's two traditions, one that is spoken, one that is written. And if you take the distance of the pool is across, I think it's 3. I'm sorry, I think, you take the ratio of the distance and the circumference. It's actually written in the Torah, and then you take the Ketiv and Kari and you do a ratio of that, and you add it to that value. You get the most accurate ratio of pi with denominators less than 72 digits. And nobody in the ancient world had mathematically determined pi to that extent, that far back in history. So, like, this stuff, there's divine inspiration here. This stuff is not an accident. Just because there's two traditions doesn't mean that everything is broken and nothing is coherent. Just because you see that there's one dimension across the pole and 3 times that dimension around, and you say, well, that doesn't add up, like they don't even know very good mathematics with the concept of pi. No, it's the tradition that's there. There's 2 traditions, the Ketiv and Kari, and when you combine that with what's written in the text, again, you get the most accurate ratio of pi, because pi goes on forever, but it's the most accurate ratio of pi with denominators less than 72 digits, or one of 2. There's actually 2 with denominators less than 72 digits, and this is one of them. So this kind of stuff will blow your mind. But they're the haters. They use that spot, and most people don't know the Mazorah of this type of stuff. Like the Vilna Gaon, he brought that one down. He was a genius, right? The Gaon, right? But anyway, let's continue. So apropos Hezekiah, okay, we did that. The attribute of justice said before the Holy One, blessed be He, Master of the universe. And if with regard to David, king of Israel, who recited several songs and praises before you, you did not designate him as the Messiah. Then with regard to Hezekiah, for whom you performed all these miracles, delivering him from Sennacherib and healing his illness, and he did not recite praise before you, will you designate him as the Messiah? It is for that reason that the mem was closed, because there was an opportunity for redemption that was thwarted. Immediately the earth began and stated before him, Master of the universe, I will recite song before you in the place of that righteous person, Hezekiah, and designate him as the Messiah. The earth began and recited a song before him, as it is stated, from the uttermost part of the earth have we heard songs, glory to the righteous. But I said, my secret is mine, my secret is mine. Woe unto me! The treacherous deal treacherously, the treacherous deal treacherously. Isaiah 24:16. The angel appointed to oversee the world said before him, Master of the universe, Rabbono Shel Olam, perform the will of this righteous person. A divine voice emerged and said, my secret is mine, my secret is mine. This matter will remain secret, as I am not yet bringing the redemption. The prophet said, woe unto me, until when will the exile continue? A divine voice emerged and said, the treacherous deal treacherously, the treacherous deal very treacherously. Isaiah 24:16. And Rava, and some say Rabbi Yitzchak, says, until looters and looters of looters come, the Messiah will not come. On a similar note, Isaiah said, the burden of Duma, one calls out to me of Seir, watchman, what of the night? Watchman, what of the night? The watchman said, the morning comes and also the night. If you will inquire, return, come. Isaiah 21:11-12. Rabbi Yochanan says, the angel who was appointed over the spirits of the Seirim, his name is Duma. All the spirits assembled near Duma and said to him, watchman of the night, what of the night? Does God, guardian of Israel, say that the time for redemption has arrived? The angel answered, the watchman said, the morning comes and also the night. If you will inquire, return, come. The Holy One, blessed be He, said that the morning of redemption will come as well as the night of exile. If you inquire and seek repentance, inquire and repent, and return to God, and redemption will come. It was taught in the name of Rabbi Papias. It is a disgrace for Hezekiah and his associates that they did not recite a song themselves, and that a song was not recited until the earth began and recited a song. As it is stated, from the uttermost part of the earth have we heard songs. Glory to the righteous, Isaiah 24:16. On a similar note, you say, in Yithro, that Jethro said, blessed be the Lord who has delivered you out of the hand of Egypt, now the hand of Pharaoh. Exodus 18:10. It was taught in the name of Rabbi Papias. It is a disgrace for Moses and the 600,000 men, adult men of the children of Israel, whom he led out of Egypt, that they did not say, blessed, until Yithro came and said, blessed be the Lord. Baruch Hashem. It is written in the previous verse, V'yichad Yitro, for all the goodness of the Lord had done to Israel, whom he had delivered out of the hand of Egypt. Exodus 18, verse 9. Rav and Shmuel disagreed with regard to the meaning of V'yichad. Rav said he passed a sharp or a chad sword over his flesh, that is, he circumcised himself and converted. And Shmuel says he felt as though cuts or hidudim were made over his flesh, that is, he had an unpleasant feeling due to the downfall of Egypt. Rav says with regard to the statement of Shmuel that this is in accordance with the adage that people say with regard to a convert. For 10 generations after his conversion, one should not disparage a Gentile before him and his descendants, as they continue to identify somewhat with Gentiles and remain sensitive to their pain. For 10 generations. The verse states, therefore shall the Master, the Lord of hosts, send among his fat ones, or mishmanav, leanness. Isaiah 10:16. What is the meaning of the phrase, send among his fat ones leanness? The meaning is that the Holy One, blessed be he, said, let Hezekiah, who has 8 Shemona, or names, come in exact retribution from Sennacherib, who has 8 names. The Gemara elaborates, the 8 names of Hezekiah are as it is written, For to us a child is born, to us a son is given, and the government is upon his shoulder. His name is called Pele Yoez El Gibor, Abiad Shar Shalom. Isaiah 9:5. The Gemara asks, but isn't there an additional name, Hezekiah? The Gemara explains, what was not a given name? Rather, it is an appellation based on the fact that God strengthened him, or Hezeko. Alternatively, he is called Hezekiah due to the fact that he strengthened the devotion of the Jewish people to their Father in heaven. The 8 names of Sennacherib are, as it is written in regard to among the kings of Assyria, Tiglath-Pileser, 2 Kings 15:29, Tiglath-Pilneser, Tiglath-Pilneser, 2 Chronicles 28:20, Shalmaneser, 2 Kings 17:3, Pul, 2 Kings 15:19, Sargon, Isaiah 20 verse 1, and the great and noble Asanapar, Ezra 4:10. And the Gemara asks, but isn't there an additional name, Sennacherib or Sanhedrin? The Gemara explains, that was not a given name. Rather, it is an appellation based on the fact that his speech is contentious, or sichatoriv, leading to quarrel and shame. Alternatively, he was called Sanheriv due to the fact that he spoke, or sach, and snorted out, niher, contemptuous statements vis-a-vis the transcendent. Rabbi Yochanan says, for what reason was that wicked person privileged to be named the great and noble Asanapar? It is due to the fact that he did not speak or sipar in disparagement of Eretz Yisrael, as it is stated, until I come and take you to a land like your own. 2 Kings 18:32. And he did not say that he was talking to them taking them to a superior land. Rav and Shmuel disagreed with regard to the statement of Sennacherib. He says he was a clever king, and one says he was a foolish king. According to the one who says he was a clever king, he said that he is taking them to a land like their own, as he thought, if I say to them, I am taking you to a land that is superior to your land, they will say you are lying. And as for the one who says he was a foolish king, he explains, if so, if he said that he is not taking them to a superior land, what is his greatness? And how would they be convinced to go into exile? The Gemara asks, to where did Sennacherib exile the 10 tribes? Mar Zutra says he exiled them to Afrique, like Africa, and Rabbi Hanina says to the Selug Mountains, which are, I'm not sure where they're at. Okay. The Gemara asks, but those exiled from the kingdom of Israel spoke in disparagement of Eretz Yisrael and extolled the land of their exile. When they arrived at one place, they called it Shosh, as they said, it is equal or shaveh to our land. When they arrived at another place, they called it Almin, as they said, it is like our world, Almin, as Eretz Yisrael is also called Beit Olamim. When they arrived at a third place, they called it Shosh the second, or Tereh, and they said, for one measure of good in Eretz Yisrael, there are two, or Terein, here. The Gemara cites another additional verses written with regard to Sennacherib, and beneath his glory shall be kindled a blaze like the blaze of fire, Isaiah 10:16. Rabbi Yochanan says, a blaze was kindled beneath his glory, but it was not actually kindled on his glory. The blaze consumed the bodies of the troops of Sennacherib beneath their garments, which were referred to as glory, as in that practice of Rabbi Yochanan, who would call his garments my glory. Rabbi Elazar says it means beneath his actual glory. That is, the blaze consumed their souls and their flesh was not consumed, like the burning of the sons of Aaron. Just as there, the death of the sons of Aaron entailed the burning of the soul and the body remained intact, so too here the death of the troops of Sennacherib entailed the burning of the soul and the body remained intact. It was taught in the name of Rabbi Yehoshua ben Korcha with regard to Paro, or Pharaoh, who himself blasphemed God, the Holy One, blessed be he, himself exacted retribution upon him. With regard to Sennacherib, who blasphemed God by means of an agent, the Holy One, blessed be he, enacted retribution from him by means of an agent, or shaliach. Paro, or Pharaoh, blasphemed God, as it is written, and he said to Moses and Aaron, who is the Lord that I should obey his voice? Exodus 5 verse 2. The Holy One, blessed be he, himself exacted retribution from him, as it is written, and the Lord overthrew Egypt in the midst of the sea. Exodus 14:27, and it is written, you have trodden through the sea with your horses. Habakkuk 3:15. Sennacherib blasphemed God by means of an agent, as it is written, by your messengers you have taunted the Lord. 2 Kings 19:23. The Holy One, blessed be he, exacted retribution from him by means of an agent, or shliach, as it is written. Then the angel of the Lord went forth and smote the camp of the Assyrians, 185,000. 2 Kings 19:35. So in the middle of the night, here's this army outside waiting to besiege, and in the night they were all wiped out by an angel, the entire army. And this is, I think they found historical documents referencing this defeat. We'll have to. I'd have to look it up. I don't know it off the top of my head, but I've heard that they found actual historical documents that detailed that his entire army was wiped out in the night, and he had to return back. So, Rabbi Hanina Bar Papa raises a contradiction. It is written that Sennacherib said, and I will enter into its farthest height, Isaiah 37:24. And it is written in a parallel verse that he said, and I have entered into its farthest lodge, 2 Kings 19:23. The Gemara resolves the contradiction. The wicked person said, initially I will destroy the earth dwelling place below, that is the temple, its farthest lodge, and thereafter I will destroy the heavenly dwelling place above, its farthest height. Rabbi Yehoshua ben Levi says, what is the meaning of that which is written in the statement of Shakeh, emissary of Sennacherib? Have I now come up without the Lord against this place to destroy it? The Lord said to me, go up against this land and destroy it. 2 Kings 18:25. What is this command to destroy the land? Rabbi Yehoshua ben Levi explains, it is referring to the fact that he heard the prophet who said, since the people rejected the waters of Shiloah that flowed slowly and rejoiced with Rezin and the son of Remaliah, now therefore, behold, the Lord brings upon them the king of Assyria. Isaiah 8, verses 6 through 7. Rav Yosef says, were it not for the Aramaic translation of this verse, I would not know what is its meaning. It is translated, since his people loathed the reign of the house of David that led them gently, like the waters of the Shiloah, which flow gently, they preferred Rezin and the son of Remaliah, who were kings from the northern kingdom of Israel. And the verse continues, Now therefore, behold, the Lord brings upon them the king of Assyria. Rabbi Yochanan says, What is the meaning of that which is written? The curse of the Lord is in the house of the wicked, but he blesses the habitation of the just. Proverbs 3:33. The curse of the Lord is in the house of the wicked. This is a reference to Pekah, son of Remaliah, who would eat 40 seah of fledglings for dessert and would still not be satiated, as his property was cursed. But he blesses the habitation of the just. This is a reference to Hezekiah, king of Judea, who would eat a litra of vegetables at his meal and was satiated, as his property was blessed. It is written in this verse, Now therefore, behold, the Lord brings up upon them the strong and abundant waters of the river, the king of Assyria. Isaiah 8:7. And it is written, And he shall sweep through Judea. He shall inundate the pass through, reaching even the neck. Isaiah 8:8. Rav Shaka alluded to that prophecy when he said in the verse in Kings that the Lord said to destroy the land. The Gemara asks, but what is the reason that Sennacherib was punished if he was merely fulfilling God's command? The Gemara answers, the prophet prophesied about the destruction of the kingdom of Israel and the exile of the 10 tribes, but he directed his attention to destroy all of Jerusalem. The prophet came and said to him, For there is no weariness or muaf that is set or mutzach against her. Isaiah 8:23. Rabbi Elazar Berechaya says that the verse is interpreted homiletically. A nation that is weary or AF from the constant engagement in Torah study is not delivered in the hands of one who oppresses, or metzik. Okay, what is the meaning of the continuation of the verse, which states, Now the former has lightly afflicted, or Hakel, the land of Zebulun, and the land of Naphtali, but the latter has dealt a more grievous blow. Hichbid by the sea, by way of the sea, beyond the Jordan, in the district or Galil of the nations. The generation of Judea in the time of Hezekiah is not like the former generation of Ahaz, who eased or hekelu the yoke of Torah from upon the people, but the latter generation of Hezekiah, who intensified or hichbidu the yoke of them, like the miracles performed for those who crossed the Red Sea and those who trod through the Jordan River. God is saying, if Sennacherib reconsiders his planned conquest, good, but if he does not, I will render him wallowing, or galil, and in shame among the nations. The verse states, After these matters and this truth, Sennacherib, king of Assyria, came and entered Judea and encamped against the fortified cities and sought to breach them for himself. 2 Chronicles 32:1. The Gemara asks, is this gift, or Rishna, the invasion of Sennacherib, appropriate compensation for the gift, or Pardashna, Hezekiah's restoration of the temple and the worship of God in Judea? The Gemara explains, when the verse states, after these matters and this truth, emet, after what matters is the verse referring to? Ravina says this is referring to after the Holy One, blessed be he, preempted and took an oath, referenced with the term emet, that he will deliver the spoils of the army of the king of Assyria into the hands of Hezekiah. And this was because he said, if I say to Hezekiah, I will bring Sennacherib and I will deliver him into your hands, he will then say, I neither want him delivered into my hands, nor do I want the accompanying fear of him. Immediately the Holy One, blessed be he, preempted Hezekiah and took an oath. I take an oath that I will deliver him, as it is stated, the Lord of hosts has taken an oath, saying, is it not as I imagined it? So has it come to pass, and as I have proposed, so shall it arise, that I will break Assyria in my land, and upon the mountains subdue him, or Avu Senu. Then shall his yoke depart from them, and his burden depart from his shoulder. Isaiah 14:24-25. Rabbi Yochanan says that the Holy One, blessed be he, said, Sennacherib and his entourage shall come and be transformed into a feeding trough, or evus, in the sense of a source of sustenance for Hezekiah and his entourage. It is stated with regard to the downfall of Assyria, quote, and it shall come to pass on that day, his burden shall be taken from your shoulder, his yoke from your neck, and the yoke shall be destroyed due to fatness, or a shaman. Isaiah 10:27. Rabbi Yitzchak Napacha says the yoke of Sennacherib was destroyed due to the oil, the shemen of Hezekiah, that would burn in the synagogues and study halls when the Jewish people were engaged in Torah study at night. What did Hezekiah do to ensure Torah study? He inserted a sword at the entrance of the study hall and said, "Anyone who does not engage in Torah study shall be stabbed with this sword." As a result, they searched from Dan in the north to Beersheba in the south and did not find an ignoramus. They searched from Gavat to Antipatris and did not find a male child or a female child or a man or a woman who was not expert in the complex halachot of ritual impurity and impurity. And notice women and female children, right? Girls and women. It wasn't just men, because today it's like men dominate Jewish learning, and there's even some people that think that women shouldn't learn. And that's like, it's completely not, that's not our tradition. There are things that they can learn. There's absolutely things that they can learn. And there's things that they should learn. But anyway, continuing, and it is about that generation that the prophet says, "And it shall come to pass in that day that a man shall nourish a young calf and 2 sheep, and it shall come to pass from the abundance of milk that they produce. He shall eat butter, for butter and honey shall everyone eat, everyone who remains in the midst of the land." Isaiah 7:21-22. And the prophet continues and says, "And it shall come to pass in that day that every place where there were 1,000 vines for 1,000 silver coins, it shall be for briars and thorns." Isaiah 7:23. Although 1,000 vines are worth 1,000 silver coins, and one could earn substantial profits through agricultural labor, the fields will grow briars and thorns due to neglect. The people of that generation were devoted to the study of Torah and engaged in labor only minimally to sustain themselves. It is written, "And your spoils shall be gathered like the gathering of the locust, and the advance of the locust shall he advance." Isaiah 33:4. The prophet said to the Jewish people, "Gather your spoils from the army of Sennacherib." They said to him, "Are we to pillage the spoils, each person for himself, or are we to divide the spoils with the monarchy?" He said to them, "Gather the spoils like the gathering of the locust. Just as in the gathering of the locust, each and every one of the locusts takes food for himself, so too in gathering your spoils, each and every one of you shall take spoils for himself." And they said to him, "Since the army of Sennacherib came to Jerusalem after its conquest and the king of Israel, isn't the property of the 10 tribes intermingled with it, and therefore gathering the spoils would be robbery?" He said to them, "As the advance of the locust, or Gavim, shall he advance." Isaiah 33:4. Just as these pools of water elevate a person up from a state of ritual impurity to a state of purity through immersion, so too the property of the Jewish people, once it falls into the hands of Gentiles, it immediately purifies the property in the sense that it is no longer considered robbery to take it, as its owners despair of its recovery. This is in accordance with the statement of Rav Papa, as Rav Papa says the property of Ammon and Moab was purified through the conquest of Shihon. Although the Torah rendered it prohibited to conquer the land of Ammon and Moab, once Shihon conquered their land, it was permitted for the Jewish people to conquer it. Rav Huna says that wicked Sennacherib traveled 10 journeys on that day, as it is stated. He has come to Ayath. Yeah, okay. He's passed through Migron at Michmas. He deposited his baggage. They passed, or Averu Mabara. They passed Mabara. They have taken up their lodging at Geba. Ramah trembles. Gibeath Shaul has fled. Cry with a shrill voice, daughter of Galim. Hearken, Laish. Poor Anathoth. Madmena is in flight. The inhabitants of Gebim flee to cover. This very day shall he halt at Nov. He shall shake his hand against the mountain of the daughter of Zion, the hill of Jerusalem. Isaiah 10, verses 28 and 32. He traveled to all these places on the same day. The Gemara asks, aren't these more than 10? The Gemara answers that in the verse, cry with a shrill voice, daughter of Galim, it is the prophet who is saying it to the congregation of Israel. Cry with a shrill voice, daughter of Galim, daughter of Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, who performed mitzvot as numerous as the waves of the sea. Hearken, Leish, from this king, Sanhedrin. Fear not, but fear Nebuchadnezzar, the wicked, who is likened to a lion, as it is stated. The lion, or Aryeh, is gone up from its thicket. Jeremiah 4, verse 7. The Gemara asks, Ma, what is the meaning of this phrase? And that is the end of DOF 94. Thanks for watching.